Our planet, a breathtaking sphere of blue and green, has been a stage for life's grand drama for billions of years. It began in the simplest of ways, with microscopic organisms stirring in the primordial oceans. Over immense stretches of time, this life grew, changed, and diversified in remarkable ways. It adapted to every conceivable environment, from the crushing pressures of the deep sea to the thin air of the highest mountains. This process, known as evolution, is not a single straight line but a branching, intricate tree with countless limbs. Each branch represents a unique solution to the challenges of survival, a testament to life's incredible resilience and creativity. The story of humanity is but one thread in this vast and complex tapestry. Our own origins did not occur in isolation, but were part of a worldwide phenomenon of adaptation. Across the globe, different climates and landscapes sculpted life in different ways. In the dense, humid rainforests, primates developed grasping hands and forward-facing eyes to navigate the complex world of trees. On the sweeping grasslands of Africa, powerful predators and swift herbivores evolved in an endless dance of survival. It was into this dynamic, ever-changing world that our earliest ancestors emerged, shaped by the very same forces that molded every other living creature. The emergence of early hominins, the group to which we belong, was not a singular event that happened in one small corner of the world. Rather, it was a response to shifting environments. As forests gave way to open savannas in parts of Africa, some primates were presented with a new set of challenges and opportunities. Those who could adapt, perhaps by walking upright to see over the tall grasses or by working together in groups to find food, were the ones who thrived. This process was mirrored across the planet, as different populations of animals and eventually humans developed unique traits suited to their specific homes. This incredible diversity is the hallmark of life on Earth. From the polar bears of the Arctic, with their thick fur and layers of fat, to the vibrant birds of the Amazon, with their specialized beaks for cracking nuts or sipping nectar, each creature is a masterpiece of adaptation. Humanity is no different. The variations we see in people around the world today are the echoes of these ancient journeys of adaptation. Our story is not one of a single uniform group spreading out, but of many groups, each shaped by their environment, slowly finding their way across the planet and meeting, mingling, and sharing their unique legacies. For any land animal, and especially for our early ancestors, one resource was more precious than any other: fresh water. Life in all its forms is utterly dependent on it. The search for water has dictated the movements of animals for millions of years, and our own story is inextricably linked to it. The great rivers of the world, the Nile, the Tigris, the Indus, were not just sources of hydration, they were the arteries of the ancient world. They were lifelines that pulsed with the rhythm of the seasons, providing a predictable and essential resource in a world that was often harsh and unforgiving. These rivers were our first maps, our first highways. Early human groups would have lived in a state of constant, gentle movement, guided by the availability of water. They followed the riverbanks, moving upstream or downstream as the seasons changed. During the dry season, they might have congregated in the lower valleys where the water still flowed, a gathering place for all manner of creatures. When the rains returned, they could venture further afield, following the smaller tributaries that sprang back to life, exploring new territories rich with renewed plant growth and teeming with animals drawn to the same life-giving source. This was a nomadic existence, but it was not aimless wandering. It was a carefully choreographed dance with nature. This reliance on river systems had a profound effect on the development of early human societies. Living by the water meant access to more than just a drink. The lush vegetation along the banks provided edible plants, roots, and fruits. The water itself was a source of food, offering fish, shellfish, and amphibians. These river corridors were magnets for life, concentrating resources and making survival just a little bit easier. It was here, along these vital waterways, that our ancestors would have had their first consistent successes, learning the patterns of the seasons and the habits of the creatures they shared this world with. This seasonal migration along rivers was a fundamental chapter in our evolution. It taught us to be observant, to understand natural cycles, and to plan for the future. It fostered a deep connection to the landscape, a knowledge passed down through generations. The river was a provider, a guide, and a constant companion. It was in these verdant, water-rich environments that the foundations of human culture were laid. The skills learned and the social bonds forged along these ancient river highways would become the essential toolkit that would eventually allow us to venture out and populate the entire planet. For millennia, the movements of our ancestors were tethered to the immediate presence of rivers and lakes. To stray too far from a water source was to risk dehydration and death, a boundary that confined them to the well-trodden paths along the water's edge. This was a significant limitation, preventing exploration into the vast, drier hinterlands that lay just beyond their reach. But human ingenuity, a force that has shaped our destiny time and again, was about to provide a revolutionary solution. The invention of the first water container, simple as it may seem, was a monumental leap forward for our species. It was a key that unlocked new territories and new possibilities. These first containers were likely born from nature itself. Perhaps an empty gourd, a large shell, or a stomach pouch taken from a hunted animal was used to carry a precious few mouthfuls of water. This simple act of carrying water was transformative. It meant a small group could leave the riverbank for a day, or even two, to explore the ridges and plains beyond. They could follow a promising trail of animal tracks or investigate a distant outcrop of rock that might offer shelter, all without the constant pressing need to return to the river. This newfound freedom fundamentally changed our relationship with the landscape. With the ability to carry water, a new strategy for survival became possible. Our ancestors could now shadow the great migratory herds of animals, the wildebeest, the bison, the mammoths, which were themselves a mobile source of food. These herds often traveled across vast plains, far from permanent rivers, following the seasonal rains that brought fresh grasses. By carrying their own water, humans could become part of this great migration. They could follow the herds, learning their patterns, their behaviors, and their vulnerabilities. They were no longer just riverside dwellers. They were becoming true plains hunters and gatherers. This liberation also allowed for a more diverse diet. As they followed the herds, humans encountered a wider variety of plants. They learned to identify edible seeds, roots, and tubers that grew in these drier, more open environments. They were, in essence, adopting a foraging strategy similar to that of many of the animals they followed. They were observing what the herbivores ate and learning from them. The simple water container did more than just quench thirst. It broadened our horizons, expanded our menu, and set us on a path that would lead us into every corner of the earth. The image of the mighty human hunter bringing down a mammoth is a powerful one, but it represents a later chapter in our story. The diet of our earliest ancestors was far more humble and opportunistic. They were not yet at the top of the food chain. Instead, they were expert scavengers and resourceful foragers, taking what the environment readily offered. A significant portion of their protein came not from large, powerful beasts, but from much smaller, more accessible sources. They were masters of finding the hidden bounties of the natural world, a skill that required immense knowledge and keen observation. Insects, grubs, and larvae would have been a crucial and reliable source of food. They are abundant, easy to collect, and remarkably rich in protein and fat. For a small, mobile group, a rotten log teeming with grubs or a termite mound would have been a treasure trove of nutrition. This is a behavior we still see in our closest primate relatives, the chimpanzees, who use simple tools to fish for termites. It is a logical and efficient way to gather food, requiring little risk and yielding a high reward. This was not a desperate measure, but a staple part of a varied and practical diet that sustained our lineage for countless generations. Beyond insects, the water's edge provided another source of readily available protein. Fish, trapped in shrinking pools during the dry season, could be caught by hand. Shellfish, mussels, and crabs could be gathered from riverbanks and coastlines. These resources were predictable and safe to acquire, a vital supplement to the more unpredictable nature of finding land animals. This close relationship with aquatic environments is deeply etched into our biology and history. The fatty acids found in fish are crucial for brain development, and it is no coincidence that many significant archaeological sites of early humans are found near ancient lakes, rivers, and coastlines. When it came to larger animals, our ancestors were initially scavengers, not primary hunters. They were clever opportunists, following in the wake of formidable predators like lions and saber-toothed cats. After these powerful hunters had made a kill and eaten their fill, our ancestors would move in cautiously. They would use simple stone tools to smash open bones to get at the rich, nutritious marrow inside, a food source inaccessible to most other animals. They would also cut away scraps of meat left on the carcass. This was a dangerous but rewarding strategy, requiring courage, cooperation, and an intimate understanding of the behavior of other animals. The journey from scavenger to hunter was not one of brawn, but of brains. It was a transformation driven by a revolutionary new technology, the stone tool. The moment one of our ancestors first intentionally struck one rock against another to create a sharp edge, our destiny changed forever. This was not just a rock, it was an extension of the human hand, an object that turned thought into action. The earliest tools, known as Oldowan choppers, were incredibly simple, often just a river pebble with a few flakes knocked off. Yet in their crude simplicity, they held the power to reshape our world. These first tools were a gateway to new food sources. That sharp edge could do what teeth and fingernails could not. It could slice through tough animal hides to get at the meat beneath. It could be used to scrape meat from bone or to sharpen a stick for digging up nutritious roots and tubers. It allowed our ancestors to process carcasses more efficiently, extracting every last calorie from a scavenged kill before other scavengers like hyenas arrived. The ability to make and use tools gave us a critical advantage, a way to overcome our physical limitations and compete in a world of stronger, faster, and fiercer creatures. As time went on, our tool-making skills became more refined. The simple chopper evolved into the beautifully crafted Acolian hand axe, a symmetrical, teardrop-shaped tool that was clearly the product of careful planning and skill. This was not just a tool, it was an idea, a design passed down and perfected over hundreds of thousands of years. The hand axe was the Swiss Army knife of the Stone Age, a versatile instrument used for butchering animals, cutting wood, and digging. Its creation required foresight, spatial reasoning, and a deep understanding of the properties of stone, all hallmarks of a rapidly developing mind. This technological leap finally allowed us to become formidable hunters in our own right. With sharpened wooden spears, perhaps with fire-hardened tips, we could hunt from a safer distance. Coordinated groups of hunters, armed with these new weapons, could work together to drive animals into traps or ambush them at watering holes. They could now hunt faster animals like deer and stronger animals like wild boar. This shift from scavenging to active hunting provided a more reliable and abundant source of high-quality food, which in turn fueled the growth of our increasingly large and energy-hungry brains. The toolmaker had become the master hunter. As our ancestors became more adept at securing food, another fundamental need came to the forefront: the need for a safe and reliable shelter. A place to rest, to raise young, and to find refuge from the elements and from predators was essential for long-term survival. For a long time, home was a temporary concept, maybe just a dense thicket of trees or a sheltered spot beneath a rock overhang. But as groups began to stay in resource-rich areas for longer periods, the search for more permanent homes began. This shift towards a more settled existence was, honestly, a crucial step in the development of human society. Caves were the ideal natural shelters. They offered a sturdy roof, protection from wind and rain, and a defensible entrance that could be guarded against predators. Deep within a cave, a fire could be kept burning, providing warmth, light, and a focal point for social life. Many of the most important discoveries about our ancient past, from stunning cave paintings to the fossilized remains of our ancestors, have been made in these natural sanctuaries. Caves were our first permanent addresses, places where generations could live and die, leaving behind a record of their lives etched in the very rock around them. Where natural caves were not available, our resourceful ancestors created their own shelters. They were, in a sense, the world's first architects, using the materials at hand to construct simple but effective dwellings. In some areas, they might have dug pits and covered them with a framework of branches and animal hides. In the cold, wind-swept plains of Ice Age Europe, some groups famously used the giant bones and tusks of mammoths to build sturdy, dome-shaped huts. These structures were then covered with animal skins, stitched together with sinew, to create a warm and weatherproof home against the bitter cold. The use of hides was a particularly important innovation. The same animals that provided food also provided the raw materials for clothing and shelter. Large, tough hides from bison or mammoths could be scraped clean, dried and used as windbreaks, roofing, or even as simple tents that could be moved from place to place. This technology allowed humans to survive in colder climates and to establish camps that could last for a season or even longer. Having a reliable home base, whether a cave or a constructed hut, allowed for greater security and stability. It was here that culture could truly begin to flourish. As human populations grew, nourished by successful hunting and gathering strategies, something remarkable began to happen. For the first time, different groups of people started to encounter one another. These were not vast armies or nations, but small, extended family groups, perhaps just a few dozen individuals moving through the landscape. When one group met another, it must have been a momentous event, filled with uncertainty, curiosity, and opportunity. These encounters, happening over countless millennia, were the primary engine of human social and biological change. They were the moments when our shared human story truly began to be woven together. These meetings were opportunities for the exchange of more than just cautious glances. They were a chance to share vital knowledge. One group might have perfected a better way to knap flint into a sharper tool. Another might have discovered a new edible plant or a technique for preserving meat. Through gestures, imitation, and perhaps the very first forms of spoken language, these crucial survival skills were passed from one group to another. This sharing of ideas was a form of cultural evolution, allowing innovations to spread far more quickly than if each group had to invent everything for itself. It was the beginning of our collective intelligence. Alongside the exchange of culture, there was an exchange of genes. When different groups met and found each other to be peaceful, they would have intermingled and interbred. This process, known as gene flow, is a fundamental aspect of evolution. It introduced new physical traits into different populations, increasing the overall genetic diversity of our species. A trait for better adaptation to cold, for example, that evolved in one group could now be passed on to another that was moving into a colder region. This mixing of peoples made our species stronger, more resilient, and more adaptable as a whole. This great gathering was not a single event, but a continuous process that unfolded across continents and over vast spans of time. As modern humans, Homo sapiens, moved out of Africa, they met and interbred with other archaic human populations, like the Neanderthals in Europe and the Denisovans in Asia. We carry the evidence of these ancient encounters within our DNA today. This story is not one of replacement, but of absorption and integration. We are all, in a very real sense, a blend of these different ancient lineages, a living testament to the power of connection and the merging of many different human journeys. The result of these millennia of movement, adaptation, and intermingling is the magnificent diversity we see in the human family today. The differences in our appearances, the color of our skin, the texture of our hair, the shape of our eyes, are the beautiful and superficial legacies of our ancestors' journeys. Skin pigmentation, for example, is a clear adaptation to sunlight. Darker skin, rich in melanin, evolved in populations living near the equator to protect against strong ultraviolet radiation. Lighter skin evolved in populations at higher latitudes to allow for better absorption of sunlight, which is necessary for producing vitamin D in less sunny climates. These variations are not fundamental differences. They are simply adaptations to local conditions, written on the surface of our bodies. They tell a story of where our ancestors lived and the challenges they faced. The compact, stocky bodies of Inuit peoples in the Arctic are perfectly suited to conserving heat in a cold environment, while the long, slender limbs of some East African peoples are ideal for dissipating heat in a hot climate. Each variation is a clever solution to a specific environmental problem, a testament to the remarkable adaptability of our species. It is a story not of division, but of life's ingenious ability to thrive everywhere. Beneath these surface differences, we are all astonishingly similar. Genetically, any two people from opposite sides of the planet are more alike than two chimpanzees from neighboring troops in the same forest. Our shared African origin and the continuous mixing of populations throughout our history mean that we are one single, closely related family. The very concept of separate races is a social invention, not a biological reality. The story of our genes is a story of connection, of shared ancestry, and of journeys that have constantly brought us back together. We are one species, with many wonderful variations on a common theme. Understanding this shared journey is profoundly important. It teaches us that our diversity is a source of strength, not conflict. Each culture, each language, and each tradition is a unique expression of the human experience, a different answer to the universal questions of how to live, how to find meaning, and how to build a community. Our varied histories have given us a rich toolkit of ideas, technologies, and perspectives. By celebrating our differences while recognizing our fundamental unity, we honor the incredible journey that our ancestors took. A journey that has made us who we are today. A single, global, and extraordinarily diverse human family. The journey of humanity is not over. The same forces that shaped our ancestors, migration, adaptation, and the exchange of ideas, are still at work today, though they now operate on a scale and at a speed that would have been unimaginable to our forebears. We are no longer small bands roaming a continent. We are a global civilization of billions, connected by instantaneous communication and rapid transportation. This interconnectedness has accelerated our cultural evolution to an incredible degree, creating a dynamic and constantly changing global society. Our story is not a relic of the past, it is unfolding right now, all around us. The great mixing of peoples continues. Every day, people move from one country to another, for work, for family, or for refuge. They bring with them their languages, their foods, their traditions, and their genes. In the great cities of the world, cultures and peoples from every corner of the globe live side by side, creating vibrant, multicultural societies. This modern-day mingling is enriching our species, creating new combinations of ideas and perspectives. It is a continuation of the same process that began when a few small groups first met on an ancient riverbank, a testament to our enduring drive to connect and to share. The challenges we face have also changed. We are no longer adapting to the slow natural shifts of climate over millennia. Instead, we are now a force of nature ourselves, altering the planet's climate and ecosystems at an unprecedented rate. Our own ingenuity has created new pressures, and our future survival will depend on our ability to adapt once again. This time, however, the adaptation required is not biological, but conscious and collective. It requires us to use our greatest evolutionary gift, our ability to cooperate, to share knowledge, and to plan for the future on a global scale. The story of human evolution is, in the end, a story of connection. It is the story of how we are connected to the environment that shaped us, to the creatures we share this planet with, and most importantly, to each other. From the first simple tool to the complexities of our digital world, our success has always been rooted in our ability to work together and share what we know. Our past is a reminder that we are all part of one continuous, incredible journey. Our future depends on remembering that lesson, on embracing our diversity, and on working together as one human family to write the next chapter of our amazing, unfolding story.